Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you're in the C-suite and you're tasked with deploying AI at scale right now, you already know the stakes, right? I mean, just one hallucination in a high-consequence environment, that can literally cost millions or worse. So today we're taking a really hard, critical look at exactly how we manage risk in these deployments. We're going to explore how we can finally move away from these fragmented, unpredictable systems and fundamentally change how we govern machine intelligence to achieve what we call true enterprise sovereignty.
Okay, let's dive into this, because right now, in modern IT, there is a dangerous illusion of control. We go out and buy these best-of-breed mechanisms for every single part of our AI stack, right? Guardrails, vector memories, orchestration layers, the whole shebang. But as this quote perfectly highlights, governance often drops its schema and ownership seams. Because these tools are all fragmented, they create these incredibly dangerous gaps, where what you intend to happen and what actually gets executed just become totally disconnected.
And those gaps, they create something absolutely crucial to understand. We call it coherence debt. Now, just like technical debt piles up when we take shortcuts in code, coherence debt is the accumulating divergence between what you designed your system to do, essentially your constitution, and what it actually does out there in the wild. And make no mistake, coherence debt is paid back with some extremely heavy interest. You're paying for it in regulatory exposure, sudden system downtime, and totally lost trust.
So here's our roadmap for today. We're covering 5 things. 1, the fragmented AI problem. 2, introducing mindful machines. 3, the friction gate mechanism. 4, achieving enterprise sovereignty. And finally, number 5, real-world high-stakes pilots. Let's get right into it.
Section 1, the fragmented AI problem, and that illusion of control we just talked about. Now, what's really interesting here is looking at those red dotted lines slicing right through the architecture. These are your schema seams. Let's be honest, the current tech stack is essentially a Frankenstein's monster of tools. You've got LLM generation over here, policy guardrails over there, security firewalls somewhere else entirely. And they're all maintained by completely different teams, evaluated at totally different times. The weakness isn't a lack of tools, not at all. It's that the authority is distributed. When your policy, memory, telemetry, and remediation are this disconnected, a high-stakes failure can just easily slip right through the cracks.
Moving on to Section 2, introducing mindful machines. This is a total paradigm shift.
To really grasp this shift, we kind of have to contrast it with what we're doing today. Traditional architectures are what we call function-centric. They rely on retrofitted guardrails, and they allow for unbounded emergence, which basically means the AI can evolve in completely unpredictable ways. Yikes, right? Mindful machine architecture, or MMA, flips this completely on its head. It uses an embedded friction gate for governance. So instead of wild, unpredictable emergence, it ensures bounded adaptation. The system can still learn and adapt, absolutely, but only within very strict, predefined safety boundaries.
And exactly what defines those boundaries? A digital genome. Let's de-jargonize this a bit. Think of the digital genome simply as an executable constitution. It's a machine-readable document that states the AI's core purpose, its absolute non-negotiable rules, we call those invariants, and its operational policies. So, instead of being stuck in some compliance binder on a dusty shelf, this constitution actually travels directly inside your AI workflow. It's in there, governing its behavior at all times.
You can see how the digital genome spans the left side here, acting as this protective boundary for the entire AMOS runtime. Now, AMOS stands for Autopoietic Metacognitive Operating System. This is the engine that gives you total end-to-end visibility. What's brilliant here is that it decouples your governing constitution from the interchangeable computational executors sitting at the bottom. So you want to swap out your cloud provider? Go for it. Change your LLM? No problem. Your governance stays perfectly intact the entire time.
All right, Section 3, the friction gate mechanism, governing state transitions.
Let's move into this and see how this builds a foolproof loop in practice. When an event happens, the system updates its memory. Simple enough. But here's the absolute key. Instead of just immediately taking action, the AI generates a proposal. And that proposal must then hit the friction gate. The gate mechanically checks it against the digital genome's invariants. If it passes, boom, the action is committed. But if it fails, or even if there's just uncertainty, the system is forced to abstain or escalate it to a human. This mechanical loop literally prevents unvalidated proposals from ever becoming irreversible damaging actions.
Which brings us to Section 4, achieving enterprise sovereignty, or owning your terminus.
The hard truth is that today, most enterprises are merely renting their governance from their cloud vendors or orchestration platforms.
True enterprise sovereignty means you retain end-to-end ownership. It requires your own constitution, your own executable legislation, complete visibility, and total independence from vendor substrates. By decoupling your governance from the underlying infrastructure, Mindful Machines actually let you own a unified consequence record. You own the terminus of your data and your decisions, not your vendors. That is a massive game changer.
Now, the broader market has generally converged on basic pre-action runtime gates. Pretty much everyone tries to check authority right before a tool is called. But structurally, Mindful Machines provides this incredibly unique DRAS loop: discover, reflect, act, share. Rival systems, they just hold on to these fragmented decision logs. That makes building this kind of single, co-evolving record of intent, action, and outcome structurally impossible for them. They just can't do it.
Okay, Section 5. Real-world, high-stakes pilots. Let's prove the architecture.
And this brilliantly illustrates the real-world difference. Let's look at a lone default prediction system. A conventional baseline model? It just spits out a static score. That's it. But the AMOS target design upgrades this into a fully governed decision record. It doesn't just predict, it provides the score, the policy evidence, the explanation, and a full timeline. It totally replaces manual recovery with automated event replay, and it swaps out periodic retraining for a continuous governed learning loop.
We see the exact same power in healthcare. Take this medical diagnostic pilot, for example. Here, an LLM acts as a cognizing oracle to suggest patient treatments. But say that LLM hallucinates, which we know happens, and suggests a drug that the patient has a severe allergy to. The friction gate catches that constitutional violation immediately. It forces a hard pause. The system issues an abstention rather than taking a dangerous action. The governance holds, the patient stays safe, and the entire associative memory graph is updated to reflect exactly why the system abstained so it learns for next time.
So, what does this all mean for you as a leader? Well, the roadmap isn't to just rip and replace your entire infrastructure tomorrow. Nobody wants to do that. The practical next step is to authorize a bounded stress test pilot. Run Mindful Machines side by side against your incumbent stack. Actually measure how much it reduces your coherence debt. Prove to yourself with your own data that your enterprise governance can genuinely travel a state across your various tools, rather than just falling apart at the seams.
Which leaves us with one final critical question for every executive tuning in to reflect on. As you scale AI into the high-consequence areas of your business, are you just renting your governance from your vendors, or do you truly own your terminus? Because reclaiming your enterprise sovereignty, it isn't just about adopting better technology. It's about securing the future and the accountability of your entire organization. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today. Start planning that pilot and take control of your AI workflows for good.